Hey guys, so in this video, let's talk about MPI. They have a recent disclosure, and let's talk about what the charts are actually saying for MPI as well. So this will affect people who are trading the stock, and this will also affect people who are long-term investors as well. So for those who have been following the narrative, you all know that there are plans for MPI to be delisted, and the first tender offer that was given out was about 4.62 pesos per share. But because it was too low, there was a lot of backlash on it. And because of the backlash on it, there were a lot of people even talking about not accepting a tender offer. The minimum shares would not be available, or they would not be able to get the shares that they actually needed. And because of all of that also, there's a recent disclosure that I think is very significant to a lot of people as well. So allow me to show you all of that first, and then we can continue with everything else. So this is off Philippine Star. MPI, Metro Pacific Board greenlights voluntary delisting. So this is as of July 4, 2023. Um, m- Conglomerate Metro Pacific Investment Corp is pushing through with its plans to take the company private after securing the board's approval. So, as you all know, over the past months, they were planning to go private, but it's just only now that they disclosed that the board already approved it in a disclosure sent to the Philippine Stock Exchange on Tuesday. MPI said they received an updated tender offer from the consortium composed of MPI Holdings Inc., GT Capital Holdings Inc., MIT Pacific Infrastructure Holdings, MIG Holdings. This updated tender offer notice takes place of the initial filing back on April 26. Again, the April 26 tender offers, what I've mentioned, that got a lot of backlash, the 4.62 pesos per share tender offer. Now, broken down, the notice from the consortium of major shareholders indicates their plan to make a tender offer for all the common shares of MPI. This move will take the Pangilinan-led conglomerate private by way of delisting voluntarily from the local board. So again, it's one way. So one way for them to go private is just basically what this is basically saying is they want to buy all of the shares that's in the stock market, and by that way, they're no longer a publicly listed company because there's no more shares that's available in the PSEI as well, or in the PSE as well. So this one is connected to GT Capital. A separate disclosure sent by GT Capital on Tuesday indicated that this consortium of bidders pumped their tender offer price to MPI to 5.2 pesos apiece. This was a higher bid compared to the earlier price of 4.63 pesos, roughly 3 months ago, or 2+ months ago, at April 26. Due to the transaction timetable, approvals, and regulatory requirements of the entire process across multiple jurisdictions, there will be no further opportunity to adjust the price, said Christopher Young, Executive Director of First Pacific. The tender offer per MPI's latest disclosure will cover all outstanding common shares, besides common shares owned by the consortium and qualifying common shares of the conglomerate's board of directors. The conglomerate announced in April plans of going private. To this end, the move reflected concerns about the conglomerate's share price. MPI scheduled a special stockholders meeting on August 28, where the conglomerate will secure the approval of the shareholders for their plans to go private. Once the shareholders approve their plans, the conglomerate said the consortium of bidders will launch a tender offer immediately. MPI Chairman's President and CEO Manny Pangilinan said in a disclosure in May that the tender offer and the voluntary delisting from the PSE will allow the conglomerate's minority shareholders to rake in premiums over the historical share prices of the company. Trading of MPR shares was suspended on Tuesday after the conglomerate requested for a voluntary trading suspension to let investors digest the moves. Now, that being said, this is where it is. And when they said it from a historical perspective, please do note that that also factors in the large dip that we saw due to COVID, and the large dip also when the drop also brought about by what happened to Manila. Do note that MPI has exposure to Manila than what happened in late 2019, at some point in 2019, where Manila Water and Manila got some news about their franchises as well. And then we saw MPI dip, and we also saw MPI dip as well. Um, we also saw MPI dip as well due to the lockdowns that happened in May 2020. So we saw the push up right here, which was from 2020 to late early 2020 to late 2020. But after that, it had a steady it had a steady decline. And let me draw the trend line right here. So this was a steady downtrend that we saw after it pushed up in 2020. But right after that, there was a significant breakout, and the breakout is caught right here also from the chart. So breakout from the 3.9 resistance, breakout from the downtrend, and this is where we are right now. We are in the midst of a breakout from the downtrend. MACD is also confirming it, as you can see right here. MACD is above the zero line cross, but above and beyond that, it's making its own counter trend already towards this particular level. Now that being said, from where the price was last, somewhere below 4.8, 4.7, 4.79, and then you have a tender offer at around 5.2 pesos per share. This gives people a bit of upside also for people who are buying at 4.8 pesos per share. They could easily get free money also, buying at 4.8 and then just waiting and accepting a tender offer at 5.2 pesos per share. They get the delta there of zero point 0.4 centavos is their upside, and they know already that at some point they will be able to liquidate at 5.2 because that will be the tender offer price as well. So whatever we're seeing right now is pretty much driven by the news on the tender offer. Aside from the news of the tender offer, whatever we're seeing right now will be driven also by this latest update on what the tender offer actually is. So um 5.2 would probably be its highest price. And I think that's what's interesting about the forward look. That's what's interesting about how forward looking the market is. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? And that's what the charts also tell you. You can see it right here that it was pushing up way before announcements of the 4.6 uh tender offer, and then we saw it again. Then it consolidated a bit for a couple of weeks. Then right after that, you saw it also start to push up again, which ultimately, it just spreads the notion also that uh there might have been something that was really really cooking, that the tender offer might have been adjusted because it went higher than the 4.6 tender offer price that was talked about. And that's where we are right now. So a couple of things, and I think this is highly subjective also, and I don't know, people come in at different price points as well. So of course, for those who bought 7, 8 plus years ago when MPI was at 6, 7, it's still lower than the price point, the market price, the past few years. But this would be the highest that they could possibly get for this. And unless they want to be a private, they want to own shares of a privately listed company, they could do so. However, it lacks the liquidity, as what I've mentioned in the previous videos, that if you take your shares and then you don't sell, if you take your shares and you don't accept the tender offer, once it lapses, you're still a shareholder. You have rights as a shareholder, but you'll own shares of a private company. It's not something that's liquid. There will be it will be harder to sell, and there's more paperwork, and there's bigger taxes also if you wait to liquidate later on after it's not anymore in the stock market. So um I think you have two choices, or for those who want to really sell while the mark while it's out in the market. Number one is accept a tender offer at 5.2, or if it pumps close to 5.2 and you see a better trade setup, you see a better place where you could put the money, I believe you could transfer it there as well. So this is what I'm saying, that whatever we're seeing right now is pretty much driven by the tender offer, and whatever breakout that's here as well. As you can see, this is the highest that MPI has been over the past 3 years as well. As it's the highest that MPI has been over the past 3 years, it's not just because there's something happening in the company from a fundamental point of view. It's just really driven by its tender offer as well. So my thoughts on it is that if you value the liquidity, if you value and you see something where if you take profits from MPI, and as you take profits from MPI, you can transfer it to another company and their stock that will give you more upside as well, then I think it's a good idea. If you think also that waiting for the tender offer, because it could give you a larger amount of gain versus selling it below the 5.2 level, then you could also consider that. So what I'm actually saying is this: make your sell decisions based on what your plan is, based on the risk tolerance that you're willing to take, and don't get influenced by what other people are saying, what Twitter is saying, what the news is saying, what you hear from YouTube channels. It doesn't matter, because ultimately it's your money, it's your responsibility. And this is one, I guess this is one scenario also where when if you're holding something for the long term, and if you bought at latter moments, or if you bought it higher and then it didn't really go back to the that price that you bought it higher, and then it delist. This is one example also, and this will be, I think, a case study also for the books, where um fundamentally sound company that didn't really gain a lot of traction in terms of price movements, then it starts to delist. Then there would be people who bought the bag higher that would get affected or won't be able to sell at the price that they actually want as well. So I guess that's it. The maximum that people could probably get is as close to the tender offer as possible, but the way you would execute it, it depends on you. But what's interesting is that the listing to become a private company is already approved. So I guess 5.2 is better than 4.6, and it gives people who accumulated shares at least zero point 0.6 extra. I don't know if this is something that is favorable for everyone, but um I guess it was like a scenario that gave people at least an additional set of upside from where it was last April 26th. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know your thoughts in all of this. Put it down below. I just want to hear what you think. And I guess that's it for now. Marvin Kermo. I hope this video helps you. Trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.